Chapter 8. Spell Combinations. Grease Fire. Most forms of grease, magical or otherwise, are highly flammable. When grease comes into contact with an open flame, it ignites, resulting in a sea of burning grease that is deadly to any creature passing through it. Once the grease has burned up, the fire subsides. Entropic death. Perhaps the victim would say it makes no difference, since those afflicted by a death hex already know there is little hope of survival. But they should avoid a death cloud at all costs if they do not wish to hasten the process. Merely touching the edge of the cloud is enough to set off a deadly reaction that deals truly massive spirit damage to the subject of the hex. Paralysis Explosion. The magic power of a glyph derives from the purity of its shape. When two glyphs overlap and their lines become confused, particularly when the glyph's effects are directly opposed as with the glyph of paralysis and glyph of repulsion, the magic has no choice but to dissipate instantly and explosively, instantly paralyzing all those nearby. Storm of the Century. When two storm systems collide, chaos and destruction inevitably ensue. A mage who combines the blustering ice and snow of blizzard with the whirling lightning storm of tempest will generate a terrifying storm of the century. Anyone caught within its bounds will suffer spectacular electric damage. Flame Quencher. A grease fire is notoriously hard to extinguish, usually burning until it runs out of fuel. However, a mage can suppress the flames of a grease fire by lowering the temperature of the surrounding air. The bitterly cold winter's winds of a blizzard spell will freeze the grease itself, causing the fire to sputter and die. Shockwave. An adventurer beset from all sides may find solace within the temporary confines of a force field spell, which temporarily protects against all damage. Since the spell also prohibits movement, however, the original situation will still persist once the spell fails. If a mage casts Crushing Prison atop the force field, the contradictory effects will result in a spectacular disintegration of both spells, generating a shockwave that harms all in the area except the original subject standing in the epicenter. Improved Drain. The victim of a vulnerability hex must be wary not only of damage from the elements, but also spellcasters who wish to sap life or mana to restore their own bodies. The spells Drain Life and Mana Drain are twice as effective in those circumstances. Advanced Reanimation. A skeleton ally resurrected from the battlefield by means of the spell Animate Dead still suffers from the trauma of its recent demise, and is thus not as fearsome a combatant as it might otherwise be. However, when Animate Dead is cast by a mage whose power has been bolstered by the effects of Spell Might, the skeleton arises with the might and determination of one who has been dead for centuries. This improved skeleton ally is stronger and has more abilities. Nightmare. Creatures that are asleep are particularly suggestible, and thus ill-equipped to resist the spine-chilling effect of a horror spell. The vivid nightmares that result inflict massive spirit damage, the shock killing many lesser creatures outright. Those unlucky enough to survive are certain to emerge from the ordeal in a state of fear. Shattering. A creature frozen or petrified by magic, as from the spells Petrified or Cone of Cold, is in a vulnerable state, subject to shattering if excessive force is applied to just the right spot. A critical hit from any weapon may suffice, and the spells Stone Fist and Crushing Prison have been known to achieve the effect as well.